Hello and welcome to Kicker News. I'm your host, James Grudich, today on Thursday, November the 4th. Our top story tonight, it's been 2 months since Hurricane Larry ravaged parts of the province. Residents of rural communities are now looking for the provincial government to give them some assistance in their rebuilding efforts. Kicker's Dylan Murphy brings us that story.
A shed clings to an embankment, gravity threatening to pull it into the bay. Wooden scraps that used to be a wharf lay piled up on the shore. The question on everyone's mind is the same: how will we rebuild? The people of Parker's Cove on the Burin Peninsula are still asking that question nearly 2 months after Hurricane Larry tore a warpath through the province in the early hours of the morning on September 11th.
It was equal to a tornado, or equal to a, like you see on TV in other parts of the world, stuff that you never thought would happen around here.
Melvin Murphy is a fisherman who is a lifelong resident of Parker's Cove. In the aftermath of the storm, he's become a spokesperson for others in the town, calling for government assistance in the rebuilding efforts.
Another wharf came down over there, and then another stage came down over there. That all flows up at 17 or 18 inches.
After being told there would be no compensation from insurance, due to them calling it an act of God, Murphy started a petition and brought it around to other citizens.
The government should be liable, I think. I mean, they help in a lot of other cases, a lot of other places. And I don't see no reason why that people of Parker's Cove that had the damages done shouldn't get some help from the government.
The Honourable John Hogan, Minister of Justice and Public Safety for Newfoundland, says that help is on the way.
There was enough monetary damage from what we could tell to trigger, I guess, the Disaster Financial Assistance Program. And then we advised the general public and municipalities, etc., that the program has now been triggered, and for anyone who feels that they may be entitled to financial relief under the program to contact our department.
Much like a normal insurance claim, the process of information gathering will take some time before any checks are issued.
It's difficult to say. An insurance adjuster would sort of go to the person's property, for example, in this case, do an assessment. We got to do them for all the people who have made claims, so that takes a little bit of time, and then it has to be assessed provincially and federally as well. You know, so we're talking months for sure. I would think before anyone gets any financial relief.
For Kicker, I'm Dylan Murphy.
The Mount Pearl Community Supper is up and running once again. Due to the pandemic, they had to shut their doors back in 2020. But now, as of early October, the program is serving free meals to the less fortunate out of a food truck. Kicker's Josh Hodder brings us that story.
The Mount Pearl Community Supper is a program to provide free hot meals for the less fortunate. This program means a lot to Scott Hillier, lead organizer of the supper and owner of Coffee Matters.
You know, my mom was always able to, provide, but there was many times that I know how hard it was on her, and I just really felt the need that I have 3 children of my own, and just hearing sometimes, they had friends and stuff that always never had something good to eat, and so with my business, I just felt that being in the food business and being able to offer a hot meal was just something that went hand in hand together.
The organization operates out of a food truck provided by the Salvation Army. Every Wednesday at a new location, Hillier and staff provide meals to those who can't afford it. The staff consists of Hillier and members of all 7 churches within Mount Pearl. One of these volunteers is Reverend Peter Hayes, a pastor at Solid Rock Church.
A community organization called today and said that they know of several families in the community that are often going without meals, and they were wondering if they could come as a volunteer organization and take meals to homes today. People are starting to buy into this, and it's reaching a need that is very real and very profound in some people's lives.
Hillier and his staff welcome all to stop by, grab a hot meal, and socialize.
And sometimes people come out for the socialization of, people probably live by themselves, maybe don't have any family. So we know and we recognize that when we did it at Park Place, that a huge part of what we offered was a part of socialization as well.
The staff is hoping to move back to Park Place as winter approaches. With Kicker News, I'm Josh Hodder.
The St. John's Farmers Market hosts a lot of different food vendors, but this week, 2 very distinct vendors went head-to-head in a cooking competition. The 2 teams, vegan versus meat eater. I went down to the market to see what went down. The Farmers Market. It's a place where everybody gets along.
At this week's farmers market, an unlikely battle is going down between vegans and meat eaters. This is the Battle of the Buttheads.
The battle is really a cook-off competition between two neighboring food vendors. The menus are the same, but the ingredients are very different. One cooks vegan, the other is heavy on the meat.
I've been wanting to do a pop-up with Jonathan Richler there from the Jewish Deli for a while there, but it's never really worked out just because my stuff's all vegan, his stuff's all meat.
People come and ask me if I do vegan or gluten-free or any of that stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm gluten positive, I'm meat positive, but my friends are gluten-free and they're vegan and they do everything.
Like the only way for us to be able to do a pop-up together as a collab, it would have to be a battle of him versus me. So
The competitors weren't really that serious.
I think we all won. I think everybody who was here today won.
Look at you go, chef.
It wasn't really a competition from the get-go.
It was probably one of our busiest markets yet that we've ever done.
Connor O'Brien says that coming up with new ways to cook traditional foods is part of the fun for him.
I don't know, it's an outlet for me to show my creativity, I guess, and it's something that I look forward to in every menu, is just being able to come up with something new, and that's why I live to be a cook, is the whole coming up with new menu items and just creating stuff every day.
For Kicker News, I'm James Grudich. Now, Kicker's Chad Fian continues our weekly special about
Frontline workers early in the pandemic. Here's Chad.
Continuing our Heroes of the Pandemic coverage, we talked to a Planned Parenthood employee who enjoys working in the service of others while pursuing a social work program.
I actually started at Planned Parenthood as a volunteer. I started, I think it was spring of 2019 when I started volunteering, and then September of 2020 I got a position as it was through Canada Student Grants or Canada Student Loans, whatever it is. I got funding through there to continue as a working position. We were able to have in-person appointments for people who were experiencing emergency situations or urgent situations. So if somebody had called us and was experiencing like a lot of pain or anything like that, or if I am a student and I pay for my own tuition, I pay for my living expenses, I also pay to transport myself to places with my own car. So I do have a lot of expenses. So working during the pandemic is kind of something that I had to do. But as well, being in an organization with people who are so caring and just want to, provide services for people who really need it is really something that I see myself doing like for the rest of my life. I'm doing social work, so being a service to people is kind of what I want to do with my life. So being able to be in a place where we work with people from all different backgrounds is really fulfilling. So it's kind of like a second nature type of thing. Like if I had the choice to help people, like I'm gonna do it. So having it being at Planned Parenthood is just an extra bit of icing on the cake.
Now I talked to a housekeeper at the now defunct Hotel on Signal Hill, who had to manage the challenge of living with others while working in a hands-on environment. Erica Strong has been a housekeeper and receptionist for the Hotel on Signal Hill for over 6 years. The hotel was forced to downsize during the pandemic, but Erica managed to stay with the company. The hotel operates within a series of row houses on St. James Lane.
COVID definitely was hard on the hotel at first. Everyone was laid off so the hotel could take a break because restrictions and everything. And then slowly we were allowed to have some guests.
Half of the houses were sold because of the pandemic's effect on the hotel's business, which meant some employees were let go and fewer shifts for those who stayed. Despite this, Erica stuck around.
Yeah, I think I definitely felt obligated to stay, especially with so much going on and the hotel not doing as well as it usually does.
Strong's roommate, Nadia Duman, originally from Ecuador, found living with a frontline worker stressful at first.
A lot of stress came to me, I think in particular because I was unclear about the sort of like the health, structures in place for immigrants that could succumb to the virus.
Strong's commitment to safety kept her roommate's worries in check and helps keep the hotel going through challenging times.
Norma, the manager, has been here for so long, and then my other coworker, Regan, we both started the same day 6 years ago. So, yeah, at the moment it's just 3 of us. So, yeah, it's strange, but yeah, we just kind of make it work, definitely, together.
Tune in next time as we continue our series. For Kicker News, I'm Chad Fian.